How big of a challenge is it to be taken, this, what do you guys call it too? It's a coal plant that you can always count on when you hit the switch.
It's in the industry, we refer to it as a dispatchable resource.
Okay.
When I say dispatchable, meaning that we can turn it, up and down at any given time and be able to meet the load with the output.
Okay. So you're going to turn a bunch of these plants off. How hard is it coming up with the energy, the electricity to replace it?
Well, you need flexibility to really operate the system. When you have intermittent variable resources like wind and solar, you need these dispatchable resources to be able to meet the demand at any given moment in time. So it will be a challenge, but we'll draw on our other dispatchable resources like hydro. We will have some natural gas resources that we can draw upon as well. But we always leverage our system in terms of the resources across our systems. So today we're out here at Arlington in Eastern Oregon. So if the wind, say, doesn't blow here at any given time, we have wind resources in the eastern part of our system over in Wyoming, and the wind may be blowing over there. So we're able to leverage that diversity across our system to help meet our load.
So do you have more than you need?
At times we do, yeah.
And for a plant like this that can do 100 megawatts, I think?
Approximately, yes.
Is that how do you calculate that? How do you count on that? Because it's not always blowing.
We use state-of-the-art wind forecasting technology, so that comes into my group, my traders that are working a 24/7 rotation, and they monitor how much is coming out of the plant. They look at the forecast, and then we monitor it real time. And as the output fluctuates, we have automation on these dispatchable resources that will go up or down depending on the need.
Okay. And could you walk us through an example like we were talking about with the dams or something like that?
Sure. So right now the wind we've got a pretty good wind going right now, but it could drop off in the next 30 seconds. So while we're counting on 100 megawatts out of this, 30 seconds from now, if the wind died down, we'd have to go and dispatch some of our hydro or our thermal plants that are online to make up for the 100 megawatts that we were counting on that didn't show up.
You would just dial those up?
Exactly.
Okay.
And conversely, if there was no wind blowing and then all of a sudden it picked up, that we would dial those resources down.
Okay. So is it reasonable to think that with renewables that you'll be able to replace all the coal that goes away?
Well, a combination of renewables and storage, whether it's batteries or some other technology, pump hydro storage is a technology that's out there that we might see more of in the next 5 to 10 years. Or there may be other technologies that we're not aware of today that will surface in the next 5 to 10 years. We're really finding in this industry that it's technology change is moving very quickly.
And how concerned are you about the gap and loss of load?
I'm always concerned about that. That's, we're all about reliability. We're all about making sure that, when our customers are wanting their energy, when they go to turn the light switch on, that energy is there. It makes it very challenging these days with the variable resources, but we also understand our customers want greener portfolios. And this is the way we do that. I view it as a very exciting time for our industry. It's just a major change in our resource base and a major change in how we operate the system and make sure that our customers are getting the energy when they need it and they're getting the energy that they want.
So back in 2000, you were with the aluminum industry. What was that like?
It was a little crazy in 2000. It was during the West Coast energy crisis. I worked for a company where I was the energy manager, so I was in the middle of all of that. It was, something that I wouldn't want to live through again. There were many, aluminum jobs that went away because of that. The aluminum companies shut down their plants and got energy, back on the grid to the customers that needed it. to keep, from blackouts. We really want to avoid that going into the future. That, in California during that West Coast energy crisis, we saw a lot of the rolling blackouts and the harm that causes. And, we just don't want to be there again.
Because, what we're hearing from, like when you guys put out whatever that forecast is you're calling, that, with wind and more wind and solar, you'll be able to, at least within your grid, take care of the problem.
Yeah, that's what's called our integrated resource plan. We do that every 2 years. We look out 20 years to see what our resource need is to meet our loads. And what we're finding is that we're able to meet those loads, our customers' needs, much more cheaply with renewable energy, which is driving the closure of some of our thermal plants across our fleet. So when our team looks at that and they calculate, they take in reliability into the equation all the time as well, that they determine how much of a dispatchable resource do we need on the system. That gets factored in as well. So we're making sure that we don't get to that 33% loss of load probability number that's currently out there today.
Okay. And one thing on that, the forecast too that struck me was there's huge parts of like Montana and Wyoming that have lots of wind like this all the time that don't have turbines, and that is kind of where that stuff's going to go.
That is, Wyoming is a great, wind resource facility. It's all about really interconnecting the grid and diversifying the resources across the Western grid, that you can bring those renewable resources from, in places in eastern Montana and eastern Wyoming, and bring those to the load centers throughout the rest of the West.
Okay. Good. And are you guys able to do that now, or do you need to make changes so you can do it?
We can do it now to a certain degree, but we're looking at building more transmission to bring those assets out of Wyoming, and we've seen that in our integrated resource plan. We're going to be building out some of our transmission from Wyoming into Utah to bring those resources to our customers within the Utah region.
Okay. And will the new wind farms come online soon enough to avoid troubles in 2024, 25?
Yeah, over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll have more of these turbines coming online. We've already brought a significant amount on just in the last few years, and then projected in the next 3 to 5 years, 3,000 more megawatts of wind and about 3,000 more megawatts of solar.
Okay. And that will replace the coal plants that are shutting down?
Partially.
And then you'll use other tactics, I guess.
Yeah, we will use technologies like battery storage to do that, and we'll also do really creative, unique things in terms of like demand side management, things that provide us flexibility. Flexibility is really key to how we operate the system today. Because of the variability in these renewable resources, we need to draw on the flexibility, not just from our resources, but also from our loads. And we've done a lot of really unique, creative things to leverage that, and it'll take a combination of that with the storage technologies to be able to not get to 33% loss of load probability.
But you're saying, if the sun's shining in California and it's not shining up here and they've got too much, it ought to be easier to get it up here to get that power?
Yes, if the sun is shining in California and you need the load up in the Northwest, that you can back down maybe a more expensive resource to do that without kind of a centralized operator. And if you have all the independent grid operators doing that, they don't have the visibility into what's happening in all the other grids throughout the West. But when you have a centralized operator, they have that visibility and that transparency, so they're able to say, oh, let's dispatch the solar in California to meet load in the Northwest, and vice versa.
Okay, cool. What will it take? Like governors agreeing to something like that?
I think it'll take more of the industry, the utility industry, the leaders in the utility industry to realize the benefits there, the benefits for the customers, and that will help, you know, drive any sort of the political solutions that need to come along with it. But I think really it's going to start with the industry.
Okay. And I lied earlier when I said it was the last question, but because I just thought of another one.
It's fine.
You know, sort of globally from the 10,000 foot perspective, it feels like this is a really important time in the energy industry because of this shift away from coal.
That's correct. This is, you know, people think of the utility industry as just kind of a boring, you know, not much happens in the industry. It is totally opposite of that right now. There is so much change happening in this industry that it is a really great time to be in the industry and witness this happening. You know, we're seeing technology change almost overnight. You know, battery storage, all the different types of things that we're doing on our system. You know, in 5 years from now, I personally feel that a lot of that is going to be outdated, and we'll see new technology.
Okay. And at the same time, is it fair to say if it's not done right, it could be a big problem?
Correct. It can always, you know, end up badly if it's not done right. That's why I think it really does take a coordinated effort amongst the industry to make sure that we do it right and we avoid things like the 2000-2001 energy crisis, rolling blackouts, those types of things.